What's going on, everyone? We're laughing about the Titan Talk Agni discussion in chat. And
We are.
We're just workshopping it. It'd be so. I'm of the camp that it would be cursed, but
It would be cursed. Yes.
There'd be some voice lines that could be pretty funny, though.
Well, somebody said that the alt should be one more question, and we were saying no, it should be because we have 3 bombs, and the first one should be 1, the second one should be more, and the third one should be question. So if you use them in succession, you get the one more question.
Man.
So anyway,
Well, welcome to another episode of Titan Talk, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Isaiah Kilgoon with me as usual, and we're here to hang out with you all and just talk about SMITE 2.
Yeah.
Open Beta 9 went live on Monday. Lots of cool people playing Guan Yu, testing out all the items and stuff. But we have had a couple of hotfixes that have gone out to fix some of these issues that have popped up after the update. So I'm going to bring up the handy dandy desktop, and we'll go through them really quick. So we fixed an issue with Guan Yu's ability 2, Warrior's Will, wasn't having the proper immunity to cripple, root, and knockbacks. We fixed that yesterday not yesterday, we fixed that on May 5th, a little bit after the update went live. We also fixed an issue where the cooldown reduction effect will no longer affect items. That was also fixed on May 5th as well.
yeah, that was leading to some very fun clips.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe it was just a little too good.
Just a little bit. And then things that were fixed yesterday, we fixed an issue where auto skills sometimes did not work. I believe we actually had a subsequent hotfix that went out this morning to further address that issue.
Yep.
We fixed an issue where Nanomancer was using the Might of Neptune voiceover for the announcer
And
pack.
I think we found another one that is also using Might of
Yes.
Neptune accidentally that we have not fixed yet, but that will be used soon or fixed soon.
Yep. We fixed an issue with the slain enemies VO lines being swapped for Kepri. We fixed an issue where auto buy was not showing items. So at the very beginning, if you had a build pinned, it wasn't showing any items in the build. It was kind of confusing.
Not great.
Yep.
We also turned on an auto build for Guan Yu. He did
Yes.
not have an auto build when we first started. So that was an error that we missed. So
Yep. We fixed an issue where Guan Yu's passive wasn't working during charge. And then we fixed an issue with Guan Yu's ability 1, Conviction, where it was healing Titans. So that was another one that was fixed. And then not listed here, but we had a couple of hotfixes that have already gone out this morning.
Oh, do you already have it?
I have it on my phone.
Okay, good.
I'll read it from Kabir. So again, further addressing the issue with auto skill not working sometimes. Fixed an issue with the soft lock on the end of match lobby screen. If you were pulling up like God abilities, you wouldn't be able to exit that screen. You'd have to close the game. We also fixed an issue where wind sprites were not spawning. And then we fixed Phantom Shell mitigating structure damage. So
yeah, not meant to do that. That was a little too good.
Yep.
So
well, and that is everything that we have in the realm of hotfixes for Open Beta 9. But again, we're continuing to look out for issues. We will definitely be fixing those things up as they come across. So if you run into issues with OB9, feel free to submit that bug report form. Shoot it to us on Discord. Tag us on Twitter. We'll be looking out for that stuff.
yeah, we do look at all of it, and we get to it as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, again, a lighter show today. We just wanted to cover the hotfixes for Open Beta 9. So we're going to open things up early for community Q&A and feedback and all that good stuff. So chat, what do you all want to talk about today? What kind of questions do you have? We're here for the next hour or so to talk with you all and answer questions.
yeah, a couple people already asking about the next God roadmap. On Monday, we had said maybe on Friday. I think that was a little ambitious, and we probably won't be quite ready to talk about it on Friday. We're still figuring out exactly what the right level of announcement is and what we feel comfortable saying. So we will, soon is still definitely the right answer, but not on Friday. We'll give you guys at least a one show heads up when we do decide it's time to do it. Cool. So.
Who is that guy next to Kilgoon? What is his name?
That's Manny.
Yeah, that is Manny.
Manny the mannequin. There was a question about default buttons for console. So there was an issue where your default buttons may have been changed on console if you had never changed away from the default. They were changed to Savage, which is a different control scheme than the default, which is Gladiator.
Yep.
It's Gladiator, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
They're Challenger.
No, it's Challenger.
Challenger.
Yes.
It's Challenger. Sorry. So if you want to change your buttons back to that, if you go into the settings menu and you go to I forget what tab
controls,
it is, controls or something like that, just change the preset. There's like a drop down. You can change it back to Gladiator
or Challenger.
Challenger. Change it back to Challenger, and it will be the way it was. The reason why it changed is we meant to change it for new players because we think that we wanted to test and see if it was a better experience for new players, because the Savage control scheme is more like most modern action games, I would say. Like it's more like, twin stick shooters with abilities, right? So we wanted to see if that led to an increase in new player retention because it felt more familiar to them than the default Challenger layout, which is more of a older school action game button layout. So I think that they're both good layouts. I don't think that, there's nothing wrong with you if you choose to play with either one. I like Savage. I think Savage is named Savage because Scott Gandhi, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Scott Gandhi came up with it, and that was one of his things. So it is Savage should just be the default controls for console. It is as part of this current test, but we always want to make sure that we're doing things that lead to the best new player experience possible when it comes to defaults. So there are things that maybe seem counterintuitive that are part of the process, right? Like a lot of people through the years have been like, why don't you just throw people into Conquest? Like, this game's about Conquest. Why do you have them play Arena at first? And the reason why is because if people play Arena at first, they are much more likely to keep playing the game and kind of fall in love with the combat. And then once they are comfortable with the combat, then they become willing to take on the extra strategy part of Conquest, right? Does Godzilla count as a god since they have God in the name? There was somebody who used to work here who really, really wanted us to do Godzilla as a god. But there's a lot of reasons we've talked about before that make it really difficult to do licensed crossover characters as gods because of like how we sell gods and how we need to revenue share around deals, and the fact that we want gods to be available forever, and it wouldn't be good if the deal has a term and then you can't acquire a god after a certain date. There's a lot of like reasons why that is not an easy thing to do. But yeah, there was one guy who used to work here who really wanted Godzilla to be a god. Would we ever consider using skin avatars on god portraits in-game? We have talked about that over the years, but we think that doing that would make it more confusing for players to understand what gods they are fighting against. And I think we even experimented with it a little bit, and the general feedback was that it was not good for combat clarity and not good for understanding the flow of the game.
Cool. I see someone asking about the copy function for God Builder. I know it's on the list. I'm not sure, Kilgun, do you know if that's still targeted for our next update?
I'm not sure if it's on the calendar for the next update, but it is still on the to-do list. It's one that we know is needed. Like there's a few things that we still need to get to. There's like searching for builds once you're in game, because you can search out of game but not in game. Being able to filter items by stats for God, like while you're building. I know that's in for the next one. There's a couple other smaller things maybe, but yeah, there's definitely still things we want to do. I'm just not exactly sure if they're all going to be in the next update or if we'll continue rolling them out over time. Why was Arena's scoring changed from 500 to 0 to 300 to 0? Arena matches arguably go too fast now. I believe that the Arena ticket count was changed for AI games, but not for PvP games. So again, this is part of like, it's a little bit new player experience-y in that we wanted to experiment with like, is a faster paced game a better thing for new players? Because most of the people that are playing Arena versus AI are new players as part of their initial experience. So I believe that easy queue is to 250 tickets now, medium is to 350, and hard is to 450, and then PvP is still to 500.
Yes.
So there was an intended thing to test for new player experience if that leads to increased retention, because they like shorter game modes as a new player before you're completely bought in. Why is Cerberus Breath not displacement immune? when some other similar abilities are displacement immune. My guess is because SMITE 1 did it that way.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, we try and stay SMITE 1 parity with the interactions. I couldn't tell you the exact design reason why they felt like that was important, but that would be my guess as to why.
I feel like it'd be turbo broken with aspect
It'd
serve.
be really good, yeah.
Let's see here. I have a question. Are you all aware about the errors and issues towards text translations on other languages? I know we have to play around with our localization due dates, and sometimes certain things that we can get in before we hit that due date are localized. Some things are not. But Kilgan, you probably have more info.
No, that's basically what I was going to say. There are some things that come in very close to patch date that do not get localized and remain in a different language. Other than that, I think we're pretty... Yeah, we feel like it's fairly good translations. They could always be better, but what's the team's opinion on players pitching aspect ideas? We are happy to read them. I would say that usually we don't take an aspect idea entirely, but sometimes it could inspire something else, or sometimes it can give us an idea of what type of aspect the community is looking for, right? I remember on Raw, there were some pitches internally for a very different kind of aspect. But when you asked people, what do you expect from a Raw aspect? It was almost always like, well, his ult heals now, so sometimes we are like we don't want to do, sometimes it's good to do something unexpected and different, right? But other times it's, if the vast majority of the player base wants and is expecting a certain thing, then it can be helpful for us to know that so that we can either intentionally deliver that or not deliver that, right? Like, it's good to know what your players' expectations are so that you can either meet them or exceed them, or intentionally subvert them, right? But you want to be able to do that intentionally and not just like, we did this thing, and then the community's like, what the hell? We didn't want that. That's not what we, like, you need to understand what people are wanting.
Are God interactions on the table in the future? Set and Horus, Gilga, and Tiamat, or maybe new ones? I've always loved this feature. It makes the characters feel alive.
Potentially, yeah. It's not something we've really talked about yet, but something that definitely could be. Aladdin's skill description in Spanish are only halfway translated. I wonder if that's something about that could be our Loc tool isn't picking up multi-stage abilities that have refires.
I'm adding a note here.
That's a good specific note that helps us look at that, because that's something that should be translated because we didn't change the way his abilities work. Why does Ancient Signet build from items that give MP5, but it doesn't have MP5 on it? Sometimes that's, a design oversight. Sometimes that is intended. It's not necessarily a hard requirement that a item inherits all of the stats from its components, but it does try to inherit like most of the bigger stats, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure if that is intended or not, but we can ask design if that one's missed.
I'm taking a note. Have we considered adding more than one aspect on a god? I think so. We built the system in a way that we could theoretically support multiple aspects for a god. So always on the table.
Yep. There's a VGS bug while walking forward and trying to VGS. It stops you from moving and says the wrong VGS. I have not seen that. Are you playing on a non-QWERTY keyboard, or have you changed bindings for your VGS at all? Oh, that is a good note. Why does the post-game lobby not tell you how long the game lasted? We probably should put a timer in there. That is a good note. If I'm walking forward and try and say VVA, it will say VVW instead. I have not seen this.
I got a note down.
Yeah, we'll take a look
to dig into it. Since we have the tech to cancel dashes, why not give every dash the ability to be canceled? That would be a great quality of life change for Nemesis especially.
So I think just because you have a tool doesn't mean that you should use it everywhere, right? It's important that different gods have strengths and weaknesses and different gods play differently. And this kind of goes back to a common community thing is like, why does not every god have hybrid scaling? And it's like, if every god has hybrid scaling, then it's not as interesting if some gods have hybrid scaling and some gods are specific off of strength and intelligence, right? Like things need to have differences. And I think with Nemesis' case in particular, maybe that's one that makes sense. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like part of Nemesis's play style is like built around those quick dashes and weaving things together. And they're so quick.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It'd be relatively hard to cancel at the right in front of somebody or something. Maybe you're a better player than me, but I think that like, again, just because we have a tool doesn't mean that we need to use it everywhere.
Man, chat is moving today.
Chat is really fast. Yeah, it's harder to read. Why do silences mess with your screen color and your sound now? This was an intentional change, so it didn't make patch notes, because silences are an incredibly powerful gameplay effect that go unnoticed most of the time. So this was a new treatment to try and make it more understandable from a player perspective when you are being silenced. And generally speaking, we feel like it's a good move, right? Making anything you can do to improve combat clarity and improve clarity of otherwise invisible CC effects is very useful. So.
Small but bothersome bug report. I have an ultra-wide monitor that I play on. The click to log in screen where you start the game does not properly fit. Any chance this could be fixed? I'll add a note for us to look into ultra-wide support for the login screen.
Have we considered doing Titan Talk only twice a week? I would say that we've talked about different schedules. I think we feel like just having the chance for the community to ask questions 3 times a week is probably still worth doing, especially considering that the way our flow seems like it's working now is it's kind of like on patch week, we have more time for questions. And then on the non-patch weeks, we spend a lot of time talking about like
what's coming to the game,
next.
what we've been working on.
So it's really like 2 to 3 overall days of questions, but we just end up having 2 kind of back-to-back days, usually with like patch day and then the Wednesday afterwards. I guess we should maybe think about like trying to do like more of a guest show on the Wednesday after patch note day or patch day. But did we redo the room or did we move to a new room? So we kind of, I kicked something. Can you still hear us? Okay.
We're good. I think we're good.
All right.
I still see levels.
So we moved to a new building across the street from our old building that is a bigger, nicer building. And we moved to a new room at that time. And we did a couple shows in this room undecorated with bad camera angles, and it didn't look great. And Hindu Man has put in some work to make the set look much better for us. So we appreciate his work and change the camera angles there. So what's happening with the old building? Nothing. It's still across the street. We still have rent. We still are. We have a lease contract on it for the next several years. So it's not like, it just we had the opportunity to move in this other building that seemed like a better building for us. So. Can we buy any of that merch behind you? Most of this is old. I don't know if any of it's still available for sale.
Taking a look. I don't know if any of it is for sale. No.
Maybe not. Sorry. You could have bought most of this in the past, but not right now. We do have the axe is definitely just a cosplay.
For sure.
That was not something that was purchasable. And is Mama Brigitte a spoiler? No, that's a cup from Worlds one year.
Yep.
We had cups the year that she came out that people could get. So it's a little memorabilia piece, I guess. But yeah, one thing that we did, we do have community merch licenses now. So if anybody in chat wants to make and sell merch using that looks like any of this or using any of our IP, you can do that. You just have to send us an email basically, and we will sign it. Or I don't even know if we have to sign. Or you have to sign.
Yeah,
like there's some really quick agreement that's basically like, if you ever make more than a certain dollar value, then you agree that you'll share revenue with us. But it's like a few $1,000 or something. So it's not, I think most people are probably not going to, unless you're like, I'm going to go full time into being a SMITE merch seller. You're probably not going to make $2,000 off of it, but there is a path to getting more merch out in the world.
Would it be possible to change health bar opacity like in SMITE 1?
There's a lot of stuff that we want to do to health bars. So I would say that it would probably come at the time that we are addressing a bunch of other health bar things.
I know health bar and nameplates is on the list for us looking into for another potential pass. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I think could be better about that presentation. I have like one of my mini docs full of things that I would like to improve about that. It's not the most immediate thing that we're going to be focusing on, but it is something that we do want to make better as part of the experience. Are you ever going to remove the words that appear when using an item? No, those are intended. It's meant to make it clear when people are doing things. We do intend to keep working on adding better effects and sounds so that you can understand from that way as well. But how do you understand what that is without also some sort of a text treatment for when it goes off? So we think that it's a good combat clarity thing. What's the next big UI project? I don't know exactly what's next, but I was looking at some mockups for Q Screen this morning. Yeah. So Q Screen is soonish, I would say. Nice. Our Q Screen is overwhelming, especially like a lot of the things that we have focused on as priorities are things that we think are improving initial impressions of the game, right? So things that you... And obviously, there are things that you obviously are going to interact with far after that, right? If it's something that only matters for your first 5 minutes of gameplay, we're probably not going to spend a lot of time focusing on it. Though sometimes we do need to. But like most of the things we're prioritizing for the UI perspective, like Q Screen, when you first go into Q for a mode, it's very confusing for new players because there's just this long list of stuff, and you don't even see versus AI until you get to the bottom, if that's something that you want to try. And like most of the screen is focused on custom games. So a lot of new players think that the way you're supposed to play the game is in custom games. And it's not a good experience. And that's something that we think is worth updating because also it'll make it a better experience for picking your cues for non-new players, right? Where it's like just clear to click through.
Any update on the Unreal 5.5 port? We play tested on this a couple days
Monday.
ago.
Yeah. So it's coming along. There's still things that we need to polish up before it's ready to go out. I think that every time if you've ever worked in software development, every time that there's like a minor feature upgrade, they like, oh, we changed the kind of pointer you have to use for this, and it's like, oh Jesus, like there's always a bunch of little subtle things that you need to change in order for the game to keep working. So we're working through that. I'm not exactly sure how close it is, but I would say soonish because it is making good progress. Yeah. What's the current version we're on? We're on 5.3 right now. So I think we're on 5.3.5 or 5.3.4 or something like that, because there's subversions as well. But yeah, we never upgraded to 5.4. And so we want to go to 5.5. 5.5 has a lot of improvements just to the core render system. There, may or may not be some performance improvements that come along with it. It always depends on your specific setup, right? How much of an improvement you see. There's also a lot of like tools that are improved that should help us be able to make certain things easier or better. So it's good for us, we think.
Hide of the Nemean Lion needs to be as clear as thorns in Smite. I agree, and I believe that is on the list for the design team to take a look at and do another pass at the visual effects.
Yep.
Right now it is using Pond's quick and dirty temp effects, but I agree that does need to stand out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Do we give tours of our studio? We have not in a while. We used to. We may start eventually at some point again, but it's, not too much to see. It's a bunch of people at desks. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I will say this building is also much more secure.
Oh,
than
I
our
forgot.
Last building,
we share a building with a not exactly a bank, but kind of a
financial institution.
A financial institution that has more security going on. But we are on the. We're on a higher floor, so we have the floor to ourselves basically, but we do have to pass through their security to get up here.
We did talk about doing an office tour video for TikTok and stuff, so
maybe one of these days. Yeah. Do the bankers play Smite? No, it's kind of funny because I feel like if you're ever in the in like an elevator with them or something, they're kind of looking at you like what is this person doing? Because it's all these people they're not like in suits because it's the South, but they're well dressed people, and then it's like a bunch of like 20, 30 something nerds in t-shirts, like I'm one of the few people that wears a collared shirt, and I don't wear like nice collared shirts. Like I wear silly prints, and like they never even have to ask where we work. They're just like, oh yeah, these are the video game guys, aren't they? So that's kind of funny. Are we interested in adding erosion? One of my favorite items for real. I agree. It's one of my favorite items for real.
I know anti-heal and anti-shield is something that the design team, it's on their list. So I saw a good one and I missed it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, here we go. Can you please explain the 2-minute rule regarding rejoining the match if a player disconnects from the game? I feel like that's too short, especially so that many different situations can occur and may take longer to reconnect to the game.
Yeah, our data has suggested that the vast majority of games, the person either reconnects within 2 minutes or they never reconnect, right? There are some times where people would come back later, but it's like at the 2-minute mark, like I don't have the exact number in front of me, but let's say it's something like 95% of people that are gone are not coming back, right? And we feel like it's, what am I trying to say? Like, it's worse to be stuck in a game that you don't have a hope at winning than it is to, hold out hope for somebody that's probably not coming back, right? So we think it's better to just be like, go next. It is a little bit shorter than intended right now, so we do intend to make it a little bit longer, but generally speaking, we feel like it is a good system for the game. We just need to make it a little bit longer. So
just slightly longer grace period.
Oh, that's Travis. Travis says it's going to be 5 minutes. Okay, cool. So
what's going on, Travis? Let's see here.
Now people want Travis to come on.
I know, right? Travis just walk in. No, Travis is probably incredibly busy right now. He's probably got us up on a side monitor.
VGS for Pyro. So this is one of those things where Pyro was added to the game later. So there is not a voice line that has been recorded for everybody saying attack the Pyromancer. So we can't just add a VGS that says attack the Pyromancer. What most people do is they say attack the Fire Giant and then they ping.
Ping, yeah.
So I would suggest trying that. A lot of people, I don't know if it's a lot of people or if it's one person that keeps asking about Siege. We don't have any current intent to bring back Siege or Slash. It may happen eventually, but those just aren't our priorities right now. Our priorities are making Conquest better, are making Assault better, are improving the core modes that we have. The core modes that we have they were by far the majority of the playtime from Smite 1. Mm-hmm. Siege and Slash were always kind of niche modes. Part of the reason why we made Slash was because neither Siege nor Clash had a lot of players, and we were like, maybe if we put them together, it'll do a lot better, and it didn't. It just kind of was about the same. It did well for like a week after we released it, but then it fell back to where it was. I personally always enjoyed Clash and Slash. I played a lot of them, but the data just does not support that those should be our priorities right now, right? Once we get to a better state of the game as a whole, then maybe things can change and maybe they do come back at some point. But it's just no time soon will they be a priority. Why didn't we call Slash Cleage?
Oh,
we actually gosh. There was somebody, I forget who. This might have been AJ who was like, we should call it Cleage.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, that was an internal joke too. It's a good one. Man, it's moving fast today. I'm really having trouble reading because they're longer questions.
I know,
too.
Right? Yeah. Someone asking for a more art-focused Titan talk. I do need to talk to Ben.
Yeah, see when he can come on again.
See if we can get Ben on it sometime soon. Just because it has been a minute.
Yeah, it might be fun to see if we could do like a Discord Chuck one sometime too.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
So, because people haven't seen Chuck in forever.
Yeah.
He might be willing to. Let's see. Titan Talk announcer pack. I don't know how many people want that, but maybe one day.
Will we ever get a newer Smite 1 god to Smite 2? I realize that older Smite 1 gods are more popular, but Danza is on year 7, is the last Smite 1 god that we have.
Yeah, I mean, we will definitely at some point. I know that there are some newer ones that are at least on our like longer term plan. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of going back to what we said earlier, like maybe not on this show, but on other shows, we have said that basically, what am I trying to say? Newer gods tended to have more complicated gameplay kits that relied on a lot of like stacking features over the year that had been developed over the years of Smite 1, right? So trying to jump straight to some of those gameplay kits would be very challenging. And we think the better path forward is to like build out a toolkit of here's this ability type, here's this ability type, and then be able to kind of naturally stack those together to create gods rather than just trying to jump straight to the finished product. So we definitely, we'll get to the newer gods at some point. I think, like I said, I think there's a few newer gods on the schedule for later this year, at least as of right now. But we will, we will get to them, and we just need to build out some of these.
Every Smite 1 god will be in Smite 2 eventually.
That's the plan. We've been doing this for a while now. How do we feel about this style of presentation for news and information in comparison with the traditional Smite 1 patch show? Pros and cons. So I think
that's a good question.
That is a very good question. I think that for where we are right now as a game, this is a much better format, right? This is a much more organic, unplanned format. We can just kind of talk to you all, and we can get what your feedback is a lot better. And we don't need to like have this big show planned out. We can kind of just come on here and talk, and people are willing to accept that, right? And I think it's more just in keeping with where the game is right now. The whole reason we started this show was because we felt like we needed more direct interaction with the community, which we weren't doing enough of, given that the game is still in beta, right? It was in alpha when we started it, right? Like, and we feel like that's something that was missing and we really needed to do. In terms of like cons, I mean, I think that like this does not do as good of a job of focusing attention and hyping content as the other way, right? Because it's like if there's one show every 2 weeks, you can get the whole community, not the whole community, but you can get a lot of more people to tune into that one show to find out what the new stuff is, right? But when it's like we're on for 3 hours a week, like that's a big commitment to even to just put us on in the background, you know, like it's like you probably got stuff going on in your life, and we appreciate everybody that tunes in every day. But like I think that it's not as good from like a marketing perspective, but I don't think that's what SMITE 2 needs right now, right? I think what SMITE 2 needs right now is just having this connection with the community and getting feedback on what's working and what's not working, and then continuing to improve the game every day so it's better and better and better. Somebody shared a video recently that we're at like 1 year since the first alpha test, basically, for SMITE 2, like the first alpha weekend. And if you go back and look at where we were then to where we are now, like
it's crazy.
It's been, I think, an incredible amount of progress in the course of a year. And I feel like there's so much more that we can do and will do, you know, to make the game even better. So I feel like this current strategy is working for us, and we feel pretty good about it. So I don't know if you have any more thoughts to add to that.
I agree. I think the update shows of old were definitely more content / marketing focused, really geared towards building excitement. But like you said, I think just the state that SMITE 2 is in right now, I feel like having a more grounded, community-focused show benefits us a whole lot more than a one tent pole every 2 weeks or update shows were every 4 weeks. So imagine only hearing from us on stream every 4 weeks with the state of the game right now and how fast we're moving, right?
Yeah.
So.
In SMITE 1, Guan Yu's dash had basically a bunch of CC immunity during the dash. Was that intentionally removed importing him? I think that's something that we're in the process of.
I'm pretty sure that got fixed already.
Yeah. It either got fixed or it will be fixed soon. So. As said in a previous Titan talk, when Guan Yu's Guan Dao will be updated. I know that Ben said he would look at it on the previous Titan talk, but I don't think we committed to definitely doing it. And I don't know if there are any plans for it at this point. But that was something that came up as a question, and he said he would look at it, and I don't know the details. It wasn't like we're definitely 100% going to do that if that was misinterpreted. Yep. Is the number of players growing? I mean, there's always different ways to look at these things. Like we have thousands of new players that come in to play the game every day.
Yeah.
That's kind of just part and parcel of being a free-to-play
game.
Yep. We are also we joined the Xbox Game Pass program a couple months ago, month and a half ago.
About a month and a half ago. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who have joined.
We're welcoming a lot of new Xbox
players. And today, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, so if you have Game Pass PC or Game Pass Ultimate, and you log in on Xbox or on the PC version of Xbox.
The Xbox app on PC.
Yeah. You will get the Summer Fun Medusa skin free.
Yeah.
And you'll get Medusa. So we've added another drop to that today.
It's our first, because we've got the base bundle, and then this is our first kind of
quarterly drop.
Quarterly drop, yeah.
So it's kind of fun. But yeah, basically, there are new players coming in every day. We feel like most of the kind of like basically every time a new game releases, it goes down for a while, right? And then you kind of find like a point of equilibrium. And I think that we feel like we're pretty close to our equilibrium point for where the game is right now. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing things maybe start to turn to where it's growing a little bit more, or at least we are more posed to grow more in the future in terms of like daily players. Yeah. So I think we feel, okay with the current situation. Like, every game would love to be Fortnite, right? Mm-hmm. Like they make $1 billion a month or whatever, right? Like that'd be great. But I think that we feel like the game is getting better and players are responding to it. And we feel like that by the time the game gets to a 1.0, it should be pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So.
I do not have any word on Discordia. I apologize.
Yep. Can some USA themed skins return for the 4th of July? There will be some.
Yeah.
There's even a new one currently in progress. So people loved
They're just so funny.
over the top American skins. So they will definitely be coming back. An old favorite will be returning, and there will be a new one. And there may be some other themed stuff around it. So I think that like the thing that makes that work is that they're so over the top and ridiculous that like, as an American, you can either use it because you're like stupidly patriotic, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like you're over the top patriotic, right? Or you are critically patriotic, right? And people in foreign countries kind of like it too, because it's like it's kind of making fun of Americans, but at the same time, it's like kind of patriotic. Like I don't know, it works on a lot of levels. Like we've always had success with this skin line in all of our games. I don't know, like there's if anybody is a Paladins player, the American con skin is arguably the best Paladin skin in history. He has like a pistol kind of gun, and the I don't even know what this thing's called. The hammer on the back of it is literally a bald eagle, like just doing curls. It's great. It is so good. For most people, it's making fun of Americans. Yeah. Sure, like we probably deserve it, right? Yeah. Like there's a lot of things I'm proud about being an American, right? But there's also things that you're not proud about. It's the same thing with every country, I think, right? And I think the fact that like we found this kind of good middle ground, that it's like it's not just patriotic for the sake of being patriotic, right? It's like it's kind of like tongue in cheek, and I think people really enjoy them. So America's very marketable. So somebody is quoting Americon has a line that says "Screw the metric system." It's just silly. We mentioned 1.0. Can you tell us when it will be? When we're ready? We don't have a firm date for it.
Will you be getting announcer packs for all gods? Some popular gods like Bologna still don't have them. I don't know if Bologna ever had an announcer pack in SMITE 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. If they did not have one in SMITE 1, they probably won't be getting it in SMITE 2. If they had one in SMITE 1 and it hasn't come over yet, it'll probably just be part of the next wave, or one of the next waves.
What goes into the decision to give a skin prisms? Would it be worth the effort to give every skin some new prisms?
From a monetary standpoint, it probably would be, but there's only we only have so much time in the day, right? So it's always a trade-off. If you choose to do this, then that is time you can't spend doing something else, right? And if every skin has it, does it become less special? I think it's something that we're going to keep doing more and more, but it's not going to be every skin that we release that gets prisms. And some skins may not get 3, some skins may get more than 3, right? It just kind of depends on if we have good ideas or if we have different ways to package and sell them. Any plans for a Jingwei or Uller aspect? Every god that doesn't have an aspect will get an aspect, but I don't know who's next on the designer's list beyond Apollo, because Apollo is in the next update. So Apollo will have an aspect when he ships if this all comes together and it is fun in playtest.
Question. Every god in the game has a bad case of repeating dialogue when throwing abilities. For example, Amma's "look into the light and see what happens" plays about 45 times before she says her other line once. This makes some skins I love unplayable for me. Fix? I'll talk to Kellen and see if he can look at the percentage of voice lines being played.
I have a funny one because it lets me talk about something else. Since this update, I have had issues with loading shaders causing a Hemingway error in Unreal Engine. Is this a known issue, or is it just me causing me to crash when loading shaders? I have a pretty decent rig. So Hemingway was the code name for SMITE 2. So Hemingway is just the name of the package, like of the game itself, in a lot of like the internal engine stuff. Yeah. So if you ever see anything that says Hemingway, that is SMITE 2. SMITE 2 is Hemingway. Why was it Hemingway? At one point in time, all high-res projects were named after American authors.
Yeah.
That was the naming scheme that we used to avoid getting into too many arguments about what something should be called very early. So American authors was our naming scheme. And I don't remember if it was alphabetical. I kind of want to say it might have been, but that was why it is why it was Hemingway. There are some people that are running into issues on compiling shaders, but it's a very, very small percentage of people. If you can make sure that you like click the button to like submit the report of the bug when that happens to you, that's really helpful to us, because there is like we are trying to chase down the edge cases where this is happening to people. We think we got most of those fixed. What were some of the other ones? I know there was an Angelou. I don't remember, like that was one that we worked on a lot. I don't remember what the other ones were.
Yeah, I don't remember any more off the top of my head.
Speaking of code names, can you share other cool code names you've used? SMITE 2 on PlayStation was Street Sandwich until or SMITE 1 on PlayStation. Sorry, SMITE 1 on PlayStation was Street Sandwich until it came out. So that was fun. I don't remember any other good code names. But yeah, we just needed something silly that like was a hidden name, and we're like, okay, Street Sandwich, there you go. Can't report teammates on the end of match screen. That is a known issue that we're looking into. We aren't 100% sure what's causing it, but we have a couple leads that we're chasing down. If you have any more things that you have noticed about why you can sometimes report people and sometimes can't, that would be helpful, because we are trying to chase that down. Are you aware that Guan's border has TBD in place of an actual name? Is that in a non-English language, or is that in English? Like, do you play the game in English or non-English? It's possible it didn't get localized if it was maybe a late edition, but
and the card effects always come in.
Yeah, that's
really
always
hot,
the last thing. Why a street sandwich? Would that be unhygienic? Yeah, I think I don't even remember how it came out. I think that we used like a random video game name generator or something, and that was what popped out. We were like, cool, let's do it in English. Okay, so we should fix that. And string code missing is on the title too. Okay,
cool.
So
I took a note.
We will get that updated. Thank you. Can we get a street sandwich skin somehow? This is like the weirdest piece of lore
I know, right?
that nobody even had ever heard about until, like, we did see a couple people when the game first came out, like for the first 45 minutes or something, if you were redeeming a code, like when we went into like beta and we were giving codes away, like people were redeeming codes for street sandwich and they were like, what is this? And so that was kind of funny, but yeah, nobody remembers that except for the handful of us that were doing that.
Is there a chance that console players would be able to do play tests as well soon? It would probably improve feedback on the game since it's just PC at the moment.
Yeah, we would like to do PTS. There are ways to do it, but generally speaking, like things have to go through like a certification process on console, which slows it down. So it is more something that we tend to do on consoles for like bigger patches, but not for every patch. So I know that's probably not the feedback that you want to hear, but that's just kind of from a logistical standpoint, it's really hard for us to get a build up for people to play test on console at the pace that we move. Upwatch says, just send me a dev kit, PS5, I'm on it. Is there a chance that legacy gems will be earnable after they are discontinued from SMITE 1, such as from Twitch drops or answering surveys during queue? We don't have a firm plan, but they really were meant as a rewarding your past stuff in SMITE 1. So I would expect that at some point in time there will not be a way to get them anymore, because the thought is eventually people will use up their legacy gems, right? Some people will probably never, right? But, but yeah, the thought is that like we aren't just going to keep adding legacy gems to the economy. Any update on the closed caption subtitles that was mentioned last time? No, that was a community feedback thing, and we were going to look into it, but we don't have an update on it. Flareboot has 1.35 million legacy gems.
It's a lot.
That's a ton.
When can we see the ranked rewards? I haven't seen them yet. I know
seen
they're
them
still in progress.
Yeah.
I would say probably once we get, gosh, it's next week already.
Yeah,
when
probably
we start
Monday.
doing our OB10 shows next week. We'll have previews of those.
Our starter upgrade options planned for the future? Probably at some point, but just not right now. Not like most of our item focus recently has been on this huge item rebalance. So
I have a question. If I purchase gems in SMITE 1 and I spend them, will they port? Yes, they will.
They will port as legacy gems.
Yes, as legacy gems.
So and legacy gems can be used for 100% of classic content, 50% of most new content, and the only thing they can't be used for right now are things that we've marked as like supporter exclusive, which is prisms and things that are in the supporter shop. Yeah. There's always a chance in the future that we add other things that are diamond only, but those will probably be like crossover things or maybe like some special event thing that for some reason we feel like, we can't, have the legacy gems. Yeah. But the vast majority of things should be 50% legacy gems. It's a question about Cuckoo's Tornado VFX. I don't know if that's something we've really thought about. No. We could pass it by Chuck and see how he feels about him. The first versions of Alpha should be playable in a match of the day, like the old SMITE 1 map, to see how far we've come. I don't think anybody really wants that, but I do appreciate it. It's a fun idea. Why isn't there a new aspect in game? It's not done yet. So when we shipped the feature, we had aspects for about half the gods, and we've kind of slowly been working through the list of gods that don't have one yet. Yeah. I don't know who's next on Design's to-do list, but we are planning to just kind of keep adding them. You guys are going to love Apollo. He does a lot of fun stuff. Yeah. Looking forward to showing him off on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
When's the fabled Baron aspect getting added? So we had a Baron aspect that we were testing, and it just wasn't very fun. So we had thought that we had a good idea and that we were going to be able to ship it soon, but it just didn't pan out, which is something that happens in game development, right? Like a lot of times you try something and you're like, this is going to be amazing. And then either nobody cares or it does, like it just does nothing, right? So this was one of those times where we thought we had a really fun idea and it was not good.
Just didn't hit.
Yeah, it didn't hit. Yeah. So we're going back to the drawing board on that. And so there's no, like, even though we previously had said that his was close, now there's no ETA on it because it just is whenever we have a good idea that we can implement, basically. Because the thing that we were experimenting with was basically like his 2 had a shorter cooldown and didn't deal damage or dealt like very little damage, but healed more. So you made him more of a supporty god, but it just didn't actually feel that fun to play with, and nobody really liked it. So back to the drawing board. Are we aware that Rama always dashes forward when rooted? This was reported at one point in time. We should make a note and just mention it to our QA folks.
Would it be possible to only use the tier 2 of Zeus's tier 5?
Does he have a VXE that lets you change, or VXG that lets you change form?
No, his VXG is like he like powers up and gets some like swirling VFX.
Yeah, probably not then. Sorry. We have always had a lot of, like, tier 5s are so hard. Yeah. Because some people really want the ones that like evolve. Some people like the ones that it's just kind of like 3 or 4 random forms that it swaps between, And some people are like, I really just like this one intermediate form and I want it to stay on that. And it's like hard to placate all the different groups at the same time. So we just generally do a lot of different things. And this one was a evolving level up skin. The next one may be different. Is the design idea behind aspects to let gods be playable in non-typical roles? I would say not always. It is to enable a different play style, I think is the thing. So it's very frequently, yes, the idea is that you're moving the role, right? Where it was kind of a hunter and now it's a jungle, or it was a jungle and now it's a hunter, like Holly. But not always. Sometimes it's just shifts within a role that enables a different part of the play style that wasn't previously there. But it should play different and enable different strategies with the character. I've heard this report of grass textures missing.
Yeah, we had it last week.
I looked at it and I didn't see it, but I'll look again. Maybe I'm missing something. This is on Conquest, or is this on a different map that maybe I'm not thinking about?
Yeah. God Builder bug report. If the same item appears in 2 sections of a build, selecting the first appearance, closing, and then reopening the shop will reopen to the final appearance, scrolling down the build window past what you were building. I'm going to take a note. I'll probably have to come back to the VOD to get those repro steps exactly, but thank you for the bug report.
Can you put a 10 times worshippers on Smite 1, please? Maybe not.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Can we add a setting to adjust announcer pack volume? Some are loud. Maybe?
Yeah, I think there's an announcer volume setting in Smite 1.
Yeah.
Let me take a note to dig into that.
Would we consider adding a new true stance switcher like Uller, such as RDO or Hell? Yeah, we will definitely add the other stance switchers at some point. It's just we're just working through the list of gods, and we're not opposed to adding the stance switchers. It's just there just aren't the next ones on the calendar that we've already announced. Oh, a completely new god who is a stance switcher. Yeah.
Sure, potentially.
Yeah, I think stance switchers are fun. I think that, we have not really stance switchers, but like there's some kind of pseudo stance switching, like ability switching aspects, I guess, in some of the new Smite 2 gods already, but not like a full stance switcher. So yeah, something we can consider. The last 3 patches had a huge focus on item overhauls. Is there a planned focus for the upcoming open beta patches? There are things that we are working on. I don't know if I have like this is the item pass, thing.
Right, yeah.
But there is a lot of stuff that we are working on. I don't know how we plan to present the next wave of stuff, so I don't really have an answer for you right now. But yeah, like we do have a lot of other stuff that we still plan to be working on. How are we feeling about the item changes? I think it feels great. I think we feel like it's a step in the right direction, and the game is close to as good as it's ever been, right? Like everybody's going to have a slightly different opinion on what the single best moment was, but we think that it's in a pretty good place. I think that we're still trying to see if like tanks are still figuring out how to build with the new items, or if tanks are just maybe a tiny bit underpowered. I don't know. I'm not a designer, so I don't have the exact answer on that. But I think that that's the one potential pain point that we have identified right now is that, maybe tanks are a little bit undertuned, but it could be very build dependent. And even if it's very build dependent, then it might be something that we just need to look at a little bit more.
Sweet. Well, we are at 2 p.m.
Are we already?
I know, right? Time flies. So it's time for one more question. Gosh, the Agni bombs. I'm envisioning it.
One more question.
Hilarious. Quick Alani check. I am having cherry twist today.
I went with the pink slush, which
go.
is normally I go for the cherry twist, but I just wanted to mix it up. We used to get the what's that flavor called?
Cosmic Stardust.
Cosmic Stardust. That's my favorite, but we haven't had it in a long time. Let's see. What's a good question to end on today? Where do they sell Alani? Y'all make it look good. They sell it like Walmart and stuff.
Right,
I don't
Target.
know. It's just around.
Grocery stores.
They just got
wherever you can buy energy drinks,
Yeah, they just sold to Celsius, so pretty much anywhere that has Celsius, I think we'll probably soon be selling Alani. How much do we pay for it, or do we have a partnership? No, we just buy it. It's one of we do have like drink fridges at work that are stocked for us, which is very nice. It's a nice benefit, and this is one of the things that's stocked in there. And I think it just kind of happened that we started drinking them, and then chat noticed, and then it became a bit of a bit.
Yeah.
We don't have going back to what we said earlier in the show, we don't have a firm date for when we're going to do the next God roadmap. We had initially targeted Friday, but we just have a little bit more work to do on our side before we feel comfortable doing that. And a real good question.
Yes.
Those were kind of just recap things.
Expedition 33 is amazing, Muchtava. I've been playing a lot of it. It's really good. That's not my question, but yes, I saw it in chat.
It's next really on my list to play. Yeah. I'm still on Blueprints, so I've got just a little bit left that I want to get done. How about seeing your teammates' God standing behind you in God selection? So this is something that we are looking at right now. I can't guarantee if or when it will come back. Like there may be some performance issues around trying to load models in. There may be it may just be more work than we're thinking it's going to be, but this is something that we are actually looking at right now. And maybe we'll see more of your team's gods show up there. So,
all right. And then I need to choose a question. Here's a good one. Just because it was a feature in SMITE 1, will being able to choose between the default God voice pack and the skin voice pack be coming back?
Maybe eventually.
Yeah.
I think it's just not a priority right now. I do think it was kind of confusing in SMITE 1 when people did that, because it's like, wait, what am I seeing?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not an immediate priority, I would say, but excuse me.
Got the hiccups.
I got the hiccups. Maybe sometime. So it's the carbonation.
I know, right?
So, I need to start drinking non-carbonated beverages on the show. I always hiccups at least once. So.
Sweet. Well, chat, thanks so much for hanging out with us for an hour on this Wednesday. Hope everyone has been having a really awesome time with Open Beta 9. We will be back on Friday. I'm going to see if we can get a guest for Friday's show. So just be on the lookout.
Yeah.
We'll have a fun show on Friday. And then next week, we're going to start talking about Open Beta 10. We're just moving so fast. Always be patching.
Never not patching.
Talking about Apollo next week. So until then, we will see you back here on our Friday show. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Peace.